ever been researching a true crime case and found out that there's just not a lot of information out there? Hey y'all, hope your week is going well so far. My name is Crystal Sky, and welcome to my little video series that I am calling Crime Dip, where I highlight true crime cases that just don't have a whole lot of public information available. And that could be for a variety of reasons, right? Maybe the media just didn't really pick up the story, maybe the case was solved super quickly, or maybe even the police just didn't release a lot of public information. But regardless, I think these cases are worthy of being talked about, especially if they are unsolved, even if they don't have a whole Wikipedia page dedicated to them. It's true crime in a short amount of time. Today's case is a nightmare scenario, I think, for a lot of grown children. Today, we will be talking about the case of Anna Mae Blessing, who instead of going into an assisted living facility, retirement community or something to get, her health problems and her life taken care of, decided to take it out on her adult son. Yeah, this one is really sad, really tragic, and yeah, like I said, I think a nightmare scenario for a lot of grown children. All right, so let's begin. So Anna Mae Blessing was actually born Anna Mae Frazier, and she was born on November 30th, 1925 in Flint, Michigan. She would end up meeting and marrying a man named Billy Blessing, and they would have a son, Thomas Edward Blessing, and he was born on July 9th, 1946 in Saginaw, Michigan. Now, I couldn't really find a lot of information about Thomas, just that he served in the U.S. Navy and had a daughter named Barbara Blessing. Now, Billy Blessing, Thomas's father, would unfortunately end up passing away in 2007, and at that time, him and Anna were living in Florida. And it seems that Anna stayed in Florida for about the next 10 years or so after her husband died. But then, around the end of 2017, beginning of 2018, somewhere around there, she decided to move to Florida, or from Florida rather, to go and live with Thomas and his girlfriend Julie in Fountain Hills, Arizona. And this is about 30 miles northeast of Phoenix. However, right, it didn't take long for Anna's old age, she was in her 90s, and her health issues to kind of render the whole living situation unbearable for everyone. Thomas said that his mother had, quote, become difficult to live with, and authorities were called to the home multiple times due to domestic issues, fighting. They would actually be called 6 times since Anna moved in with her son. And the authorities were informed that there were guns in the home. We'll get to a little bit more about that later. Now, of the 6 phone calls that had been placed to authorities since Anna moved in, 4 were placed on the same day. And that day was June 21st, 2018. Quote, there were communications between the parties expressing the frustration in the relationship, even to the point where both had expressed a concern that the other party could become violent. While there were potential threats and concerns about violence between the mother and son, the sheriff's office did not intervene, and this was according to the Maricopa County Sheriff Paul Penzone. Now, finally not being able to handle all the stress and issues and fights, Thomas suggested that perhaps it was time for his mother to live in an assisted facility, or retirement community, like a nursing home, something like that. And to say Anna did not take that well would be an understatement. She was pissed off. Pissed off. She saw it as her freedom being taken away, and she felt that she was being treated unfairly by Thomas and Julie. She would end up calling them mean. And so, right, when Thomas started floating this idea of her going to an assisted living facility, Anna began, thinking of ways to sort of teach her son a lesson. So on Monday morning, July 2nd, 2018, Anna concealed 2 vintage revolvers from the 1970s. Other reports said that they were pistols into the pockets of her robe. One of the guns she had actually bought herself at a gun store, and the other had been gifted to her by her late husband. So that morning, as Thomas and Julie slept in their bedroom, Anna entered the bedroom, woke Thomas up, and the two began arguing again about her going to an assisted living facility. Julie heard Anna tell Thomas that she was tired of the way they were treating her. And then Anna, who was 92 years old, pulled out one of the guns from her pocket and shouted at her son as she pointed the gun at him, quote, "You took my life, so I'm taking yours." And she shot her grown adult son, Thomas, who was 72 years old, and she ended up shooting him in the neck and jaw. She then tried to turn the gun on Julie, who was 57 years old, and pointed it at her, but Julie was thankfully able to, knock the gun out of Anna's hand, and it, flew across the room. Anna then pulled out her second gun and pointed it at Julie, but again, Julie was able to get the gun from Anna and knock it out of her hand. And at that point, right, as soon as Julie had done that, she bolted from the room and called authorities. Meanwhile, Anna just calmly walked back to her bedroom and sat in her recliner. In the 911 call, Julie can be heard shouting, quote, "Help me, she's going to shoot me, she's going to shoot me. She got in her pocket and she pulled out another gun. I grabbed onto her and I was yelling, 'Stop, Ann, stop.' She's strong for 92, let me tell you. And when I knocked her down, she took the gun and she put it in my side. Then she pulled it up again."
Help! Help! Help me! No! Help!
Hello?
Shoot me!
Complainant is currently hiding in the bedroom. She's frantic. Says she shot him in the neck. The complainant is saying that Anna's coming for her now. There's a lot of screaming.
Can you imagine how frightening that would be? First thing that you're waking up to. When the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, MCSO, arrived on scene around 10 a.m., it was said that they were met with a very, eerily calm crime scene.
Hey, she still has the gun. I have another woman running out saying she's going to get shot.
Anna was just sitting in her recliner chair in her bedroom as Thomas lay dead in a pool of blood in his own bedroom.
We just made contact with a one-on-one. Man's down. Doesn't appear to be breathing.
Apparently, Anna told the officers, quote, "I probably ought to be put to sleep. What can I do for society? I killed my son, the person I brought into this world."
42, one in custody, code for it.
And when police combed through the home, they found a total of 13 guns in the house. 11 belonged to Thomas, and 2 were Anna's. And no, not a single one was locked up in a secured location, like a case or like a safe or anything. As she was being escorted into the police car, Anna did tell the police that she had been kind of thinking about this for some time, since her son suggested she go into an assisted living facility. She also said that she wanted to kill herself, but she couldn't since she didn't have her guns anymore. The MCSO said in a press release, quote, "According to statements provided by suspect Blessing and received by the detectives, she had been contemplating for several days her son's intentions to place her in an assisted living facility." Anna was charged and arrested and charged with first-degree murder, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and strangely kidnapping. I don't know where the kidnapping came from. Maybe because, I don't know, she prevented Julie from leaving the room or something? I don't know. That one was a little weird to me. In her 11-hour interrogation that was broken up by coughing fits and naps, Anna explained what happened, the events, confessed multiple times, and seemed to be without remorse. Quote, "I backed up and I pulled the trigger, and it broke the mirror, and I don't know what I did. Then Tom was going to come at me again, so I pulled the trigger. I'm sure the second round hit him. I can't remember the caliber. It was a good-sized one." The detective then asked Anna where she had shot her son. Quote, "I have no idea, but I do know I killed him. I bent over and took his pulse, and there was no pulse, so I knew I killed him. I killed my own son. He was coming at me, so I fired the gun. I didn't want to go to a nursing home, and he would promise me I would never have to. Then I went to my bed and sat in the chair and waited for police to come."
He was coming at me, so I fired the gun. I bent over and took his pulse, and there was no pulse, so I knew I killed him. I didn't want to go into nursing home. He would promise me I never would have to. I went to my bed and sat in the chair and waited for the police to come.
And when the detective asked her how she felt when she knelt down to feel for her son's pulse, she said, quote, "I didn't have much of a feel, I guess."
When you reached down and felt that he didn't have a pulse, how'd you feel?
I didn't have much of a feel, I guess.
And when he asked her how she felt at that moment, quote, "I wish I had stayed in Florida. Right now, I'm so damn tired, I don't know."
Right now, I'm so damn tired, I don't know. What can I do for society? I killed my son.
The detective then asked Anna if she felt bad for pointing the gun at Julie, who Anna said she was close friends with. Quote, "Yeah, kind of, but she's part of the trying to get me put in a nursing home too, so I don't know that I do feel that bad."
So I pulled my gun out. I was gonna shoot her.
Yeah. She claimed Thomas and Julie were mean to her, didn't care for her, and had recently come back from a vacation without her and had just ignored her. Meanwhile, Julie told police how she had disarmed Anna. Quote, "I got that gun away from her. It was a brown gun, and I believe I threw it."
It was a brown gun, and I believe I threw it. Got in her pocket, she pulled out another gun.
Now, Anna's only granddaughter, Thomas's daughter, Barbara Blessing, was unbelievably on Anna's side. She told the police that she thought her grandmother should be released from jail so she could have her dignity back. Quote, all I want to do is get her out of that jail where she can have her dignity back and get medication she needs so she can rest in peace. She doesn't deserve to be treated like this. She's not well. She's very ill.
All I want to do is get her out of that jail where she can have her dignity back. And she can get on the medication that she needs so she can rest in peace. She doesn't deserve to be treated like this. She's not well. She's very ill.
Gotta say, Barbara's a better person than I am. Now, the multiple visits to the home by authorities was quickly released to the press, like the public found out it very quickly, and the sheriff's department came under some heat. Quote, our agency had been to the home a few times prior. The reason we were out was to investigate domestic disputes between the victim and her son and potential threats. And this was according to Sheriff Penzone. And many criticized the sheriff's department for not stepping in earlier, especially knowing the history of domestic issues at the house coupled with the weapons that were at the home. Quote, if we failed in any way, shape, or form, that is unacceptable, but we're not ultimately the ones responsible when an individual decides to take the act of using a firearm or other weapon to take another life. It is that individual's responsibility. They own that act. We are empowered to act within the law, and if there's not a violation of the law, we are limited. In respect to the Second Amendment, we cannot overreact and take firearms away from an individual because of a concern that falls short of a legal or lawful basis. And this was according to Sheriff Penzone. I swear to God, the U.S. is such a backwards-ass country. Barbara told the press that her father had tried getting the police to take away Anna's guns, but they said she had a right to them. And yeah, totally, right? Take away her guns, but why did Thomas need 11? And none of them were secured. At her first court appearance the next day, which was Tuesday, July 3rd, Anna appeared in a wheelchair, and despite her fragile outward appearance, her bond was set at $500,000 due to the seriousness of the charges against her.
And ma'am, I've ordered there to be a $500,000 cash-only appearance bond ordered for your release. If you post that bond, ma'am, listen carefully, I've ordered a number of other conditions for your release. Order that you not return to the scene of the alleged crime if you post that bond. You not have any contact with any victim, witness, or arresting officer. You're not entitled to possess any weapons on release. No drugs without a valid prescription. Ma'am, if you do post that bond, I'm going to order that you find an alternative residence during the pendency of this case. Provide proof of that residence to the court. You may not reside at the same location as any alleged victim, even if you own or rent that residence. So if you do post that bond, I will order there to be one civil standby with local law enforcement so you can retrieve any essential belongings out of the home.
She was then sent to the Maricopa County Jail. On Thursday, July 19th, Anna's court-appointed attorney, Ulysses Farragut, waived her court appearance for her arraignment because she was, quote, very ill. He said that she was wheelchair-bound and was having stomach and back issues. Quote, I'm concerned that the county jail is probably not a good location for her, so I will be looking for alternative placement for her where she can hopefully get better medical care and assistance with all her multiple issues. It's early on, but the bottom line is the woman's elderly and she's got a lot of medical conditions, and I'm going to be trying to accommodate those. She had already missed a couple of court dates at this point, including her preliminary hearing that had been held on July 13th. Farragut said that Anna's granddaughter, Barbara, was on their side and that the whole family was torn about the situation. Quote, this is a tragedy all the way around. Hopefully, we'll have an outcome that provides not only justice, but also takes into account all of the things that were going on at the time that may have precipitated the incident. Superior Court Judge Thomas Caipio then entered a not guilty plea on Anna's behalf, and her next court appearance was scheduled for August 30th, which again she would miss due to her multiple health issues. Meanwhile, a funeral for Thomas was held on Wednesday, July 18th. In September, a judge set a tentative date for Anna's trial. It was March 13th, 2019. However, as you can guess, that would end up being delayed as, Anna's multiple health issues would end up creating a lot of problems for the case moving forward. On Monday, December 3rd, another court date, it was announced to the court that Anna had actually suffered a stroke in jail on November 9th and was currently in hospice care. Her attorney was now listed as Janine Burns, and she announced she was going to ask for the hearing to be rescheduled. And that was so that they could file a motion to either have the case dismissed entirely or send it back to the grand jury. She told Superior Court Judge Susan Bernovich, quote, Miss Blessing has significant health issues that I think will be impacting the scope of this case in the near future. She said at that point Anna was even unable to get out of bed and make it to any court appearances. And Anna Mae Blessing finally died sometime in January 2019 at the age of 93, and she did die in hospice care. And on Friday, January 25th, 2019, that's when it was publicly announced that Anna had passed away. And it was announced that the Maricopa County Attorney's Office had filed a motion to dismiss the case against her on January 10th. So she probably died sometime in early January 2019. And that is the tragic case of Anna Mae Blessing. Like, oh my God, I feel like that's every adult child's nightmare, right? Where, you know, your parent is very, very old, has a lot of health issues, and, you know, like, right? Like, caregiver burnout is a thing, needing to be trained and, you know, be a professional to take care of, like, elderly people or any person of any age of significant health problems, right? And I'll just never understand these older people that are so against going to a facility. Like, I know some, right, are predatory and, you know, not very good, but, like, I really don't think Thomas would have sent his mother to one of those. You know what I mean? Like, it's also why it's important to try to have a retirement and stuff, but, like, yeah, man, either way, like, talk about an overreaction. And then one of the articles pointed out is that, like, oh, Anna ended up dying, you know, where she didn't want to anyway, like, kind of in a hospice care assisted living facility. Yeah, it's just so sad. And, you know, I know that, you know, when I get to that age, as long as it's not like some, you know, predatory place where I'm going to get taken advantage of or not be taken care of, like, I have no problem going into an assisted living community, retirement community, you know what I mean? Like, be with other people your own age and stuff. But again, gotta definitely do your research, right? And make sure it's not one of the predatory ones, because the workers there are overworked and underpaid, and there's a lot of corruption. Welcome to the US. And yeah, man, like, it's just super sad. I really don't believe Anna's claims of, like, Thomas and Julie being mean to her or not treating her well. They were probably just, like, burnt out. Probably having her live with them ended up being more of a burden and a challenge than they, you know, anticipated. I mean, she was in her 90s, you know what I mean? So, yeah, the whole thing is just so sad all the way around. I hope Julie can go on and live the rest of her life. I hope she can, you know, cope with the trauma that she undoubtedly has. Can you imagine waking up and there's your boyfriend's mother, like, pointing a gun at you? Like, Jesus. Well, that will do it for this episode of Crime Dip. Next Tuesday will be another episode of Crime Dive. That's a more in-depth look at true crime cases that have, like, a lot of information. And then 2 weeks from today, we'll be back with another Crime Dip episode where we'll look at another true crime case that, you know, just doesn't have a whole lot of information available. Alrighty, y'all, take care out there, and I will see you either next Tuesday or in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.